Aloha.
Aloha.
Great to be here. Super awesome to be back on the UCLA campus. I actually spent time as an engineer when NearSpec was being built in the lab, working on some of the electronics, and I don't think I've been back since. So spending time here is bringing back a lot of memories. So I'm Rich Matsuda. I'm the director of Keck Observatory. I'm actually tag teaming this talk with John. So I'll be covering the first half, and John will be covering the second half. I just wanted to reflect that one of the keys to Keck's success over the years has been the collaboration and relationship with the science community. And the Keck Science Meeting is one of the best ways to maintain that and strengthen that. And so we're just really happy to be here and to hear, a lot of times we're in the office thinking about budgets and problems and things like that. And we don't often get the time to spend this much time thinking about and hearing about all the science that's being done. So it's a real privilege. So John and I have tons to cover, and so we'll be covering it at a high level, but the important thing to know is that we want to touch multiple areas so that you can come and ask us during the breaks and stuff to talk about these things more deeply. A meeting like this doesn't happen without the involvement and help and planning of a lot of people, and I just want to recognize the organizing committee, UCLA campus, and then our Keck team. And I just want to highlight Pradeep, Kareem, the UCLA team, and Shelly, especially, who's led our efforts at Keck. So mahalo to all of you. Thank you so much. Yeah. I also want to recognize some leadership transitions that are happening. And I'm not showing any of the SSC ones. The SSC co-chairs have a talk after this. But I wanted to recognize these three individuals who have been huge advocates for Keck and are advancing our mission. And as director and a relatively new director, I've personally benefited from all three of these people's advice in taking on the role. So Fiona, after 10 years on the CARA board, has completed her service as a Caltech Physics, Math, and Astronomy chair in August and has provided critical guidance. She's giving a plenary talk today. So thank you so much, Fiona. And then Chaz and Mario have provided key leadership in the NASA Keck partnership over the years, and we really appreciate both of them. Chaz is stepping down as next side director in November after 20 years, and he's giving a plenary talk before lunch tomorrow. And Mario has been the NASA program executive for the NASA Keck Cooperative Agreement, and he stepped down in August after 17 years at NASA. So thank you to all three. And then replacing Fiona on the board, the new Caltech PMA chair, Dr. Hiroshi Oguri, will be welcomed in, and his fresh view and new ideas as he comes onto the board, I'm sure will be extremely valuable for us. I wanted to start the talk really with a reminder of our mission, our vision, our core values, and the pillars of our strategic plan, as a reminder that all of us here and all of the people back in Hawaii at the observatory, we're all in this together. And it is our observatory collectively. So the mission to advance the frontiers of astronomy and share our discoveries, inspiring the imagination of all. And the vision is a world in which all humankind is inspired and united by the pursuit of knowledge of the infinite variety and richness of the universe. And I just want to note this amazing picture taken by Matt Wall, one of our observing assistants at Keck. This is of the eruption of Kilauea with the night sky in the background. And John popped open the web page for the live stream of the volcano, and it looks like she may be going again today. So check it out during the break. Our two core values, stewardship and service, are really inherent to who we are as a collective. It's really in our DNA. And so starting with stewardship, we care for our people facilities, resources, communities, environments, and reputation in a balanced and ethical way now and for the future. So this is really about caring. And then service. So we prioritize collective impact over individual aims and serving each other, our astronomical community, local community, to help reach our shared goals. Every person who works at the observatory feels a sense of accountability to you, the end users. Every person can trace what they do on a daily basis to how it serves the science being done. And I can confidently say that if there's a problem or an opportunity that needs to be pursued, that these people feel it in their hearts. So speaking of that feeling of service, we brought a big group to this Keck Science meeting, and I list them all here and remind everyone that this relationship that we've built over the years and continue to build is what makes Keck so special. And we need your feedback, we need your input, we need your support and help to keep Keck at the forefront. So everyone who's here from Keck is wearing a blue and white ribbon layer like this. I know that I've met many of you, but I haven't met all of you. I'd love to meet all of you during this meeting. And I know that goes the same for everyone who works at Keck. Also want to introduce some new staff who have joined the observatory since the last Keck Science meeting. This is not an exhaustive list, but these are folks who tend to interface with the end users. So wanted to introduce, show you their faces, and also say that Leo, Jacques, Ilihia, and Melissa are all here at the meeting. And I'll just mention the person in the middle, Jacques Sabag. He's brand new. He just started.
No share screen. All the balls. How come?
Oh,
Yeah. See?
sorry about that.
Son of a gun. Press play again. Sorry, folks. There.
Oh, okay, thanks. We just began with Keck as of Monday. And last week I called him and I was saying, hey, you should probably come to the Keck Science meeting because you meet a lot of interesting people and hear what's going on. So he flew over at the last minute. So we welcome him as our Chief Engineer and Operations Officer. And then there also have been a few departures over the last year, but this is one departure who I know has supported many of you in your science runs at Keck. And after 20 years, Carlos Alvarez has departed to pursue his other passion, which is getting his flying and getting his commercial pilot's license. And we'll really miss him. So I wanted to show his face. So this is a historic rock wall at the headquarters of Keck. This is a property that used to be a paddock, a horse paddock, for the Parker Ranch. And when Keck Observatory headquarters was being sited, the ranch owner gifted the land to Keck Observatory. And this rock wall has been there for at least a century. And has seen a lot of activity around it, but has stayed very solid. And that's because the people who have the skill and craftsmanship to build a wall like this know to put the big rocks in strategic places and then place the medium and smaller size rocks around it to make it stay in place without any mortar. And I think that's a good metaphor for the kinds of things that we're thinking about to keep the observatory solid going forward. And of course, the first thing and one of the things that makes the observatory so special is focusing on getting on sky every night. That's a focus of everyone at the observatory. In addition, earning and maintaining our place on Mauna Kea respectfully is really important for our long-term future. Another big rock, of course, is all the people, and I've spoken to the people already. It's what makes Keck go, and that includes all of you. And then, of course, you need the resources to do it. And as Doug alluded to, and I'll allude to here, the situation around that is a little bit uncertain right now due to challenges at the federal level. The observatory is now nearing 4 decades old, and the original infrastructure is needing care and attention. And I'll talk about a couple of the ways that's happening now. But we really need to pay attention to that in this stage of the life of the observatory. And then, of course, as we heard in the morning session, providing the best tools, so AO and instrumentation capabilities, is what allows the science to move forward. So that's really important. So these are the big rocks that we're concentrating on right now. Here's our Keck 2035 strategic plan. And all of these big rocks kind of match up with the categories of the strategic plan. So John and I will now talk about each of these 3 areas, starting with organizational health. And as I mentioned, the situation around the federal budget is a cause for concern, and at the same time, we feel hopeful about the future around this. So the way the observatory is dealing with it is with this idea of responsible preparedness. So as mentioned, the president's budget had proposed significant cuts, but Congress has, in their committees, largely restored the NASA funding. So the NASA Cooperative Agreement provides 1/6 of our operations funds. So now we're waiting for this to play out. And in the meantime, as Doug had pointed out in his presentation, significant advocacy activities by Keck and others have occurred. I just want to spend 1 second to recognize the efforts of John O'Mara. Doug wasn't kidding when he said that John's been basically living out of DC or airplanes to take this message of how valuable this partnership is to science. And this bullet of you have a role, I want to point you to the maunakea.observatories.org website, where there's an advocacy page that you can click on to see how you can add your voice to advocacy. And if you want information about how to do that most effectively, talk to John. He's done a really great job. So because we haven't received or been 100% certain about receiving this funding, Observatory has been carefully managing our resources. So we're implementing some discretionary cost savings measures, being careful about travel and professional development and things that we can delay for a little bit. And that belt tightening is always very uncomfortable, but it's really important to us to be proactive to protect the core mission so that you all can get your science. So while it's uncomfortable, we take it on, and we hope and feel confident that the situation will resolve and we'll get that funding and we'll be able to continue as normal. One thing we're truly grateful for is that Caltech and UC are steadfast in the support of the observatory and have maintained our basic funding. So that's really good for Keck, and it allows us to be really stable. Regarding the infrastructure renewal, as you know, we had a Keck 2 shutter failure where we were 51 nights off sky due to a broken shutter wire rope. Come ask me about the nitty-gritties of that if you want to know more. If you lost time to that, this was an unplanned failure. We sincerely apologize for that. The good news is that we're back on sky. The shutter is operating. There are some minor restrictions to the opening angle. But it was a really, really challenging problem. You can see the dome is 100 feet high, people hanging off on the sides of the ladders and so forth to address this problem. A really outstanding effort that I want to highlight from the staff to get us back on sky. But we're back on sky. I will note that longer term upgrades, which we have to still figure out, will be required so that this doesn't happen again in the future. Right now on the summit on Mauna Kea, we're engaging in the second big shutdown for the Keck 1 pier repair. This is running through the middle of October. And this repair is proceeding very well. And there's a talk by Joel Payne, who's our mechanical engineering lead on the project tomorrow. So please tune in to that. And in this theme of infrastructure renewal, as I mentioned, the observatory is getting older, and we need to continually plan for how to keep the infrastructure up to date. And updating our technical risk register and long-range renewal plan is a top priority for the observatory, and one that we're really, like I introduced Jacques earlier. Jacques will play a big leadership role along with the experience of the team to help us plot out a really solid plan going forward. The last bullet is important to maybe highlight is that while these shutdowns I know affect your access to the telescope, like the pier shutdown that's happening right now, we need to be proactive, and it is likely that we will have more scheduled planned shutdowns. And we'd like to do that to be ahead of the curve rather than experience things like the Keck 2 shutter, which was an unplanned shutdown and very difficult to deal with and very difficult for you as well. So I just want to set that expectation going forward. This is just a quick thing to say that we're being very systematic and organized about it. This is a risk register, and we'll be working on updating this and turning it into a long-range plan. On the Hawaii community relations front, here's a picture of Mauna Kea, and this picture, the simplicity of this picture really belies the depth of meaning of this Mauna to so many people. We cannot do the quality of science that we do without this mountain. And then this mountain is also sacred and meaningful in other ways, spiritually, ecologically, and so forth. So I think in any talk like this that we do, we need to take a moment to acknowledge and recognize the importance and meaningfulness of this very special Mauna. So I just show Mauna Kea. With regard to our future, as I mentioned, earning and maintaining our place, we're in the purple section right now of a change in stewardship of Mauna Kea, and about halfway through this transition. And what we're shooting for at the end of the transition is a new framework for leases and permits, a new management plan, new administrative rules, and transfer of very knowledgeable, experienced staff from the Center for Mauna Kea Stewardship to this new management authority, the Mauna Kea Stewardship and Oversight Authority, of which I'm the astronomy rep on. The other thing, though, is less about deliverables and more about trust building. So building trust with our community, and that's the other big goal. With regard to trust building, this is a picture of a meeting recently that happened in Na'alehu, which is on the south side of the island. In a community discussion with members of the authority, astronomy, observatory workers, members of the community in Na'alehu, sitting around the table and talking very productively and respectfully about everyone's ideas of bright future for Mauna Kea. So that's a picture you would not have seen in 2019 or 2020. We also do a lot of work to engage our decision makers. So this is a group of elected officials from the State House who were visiting the summit, and we engage them to make sure they understand the vital contributions of astronomy to humanity, to American leadership in science, and to Hawaii's community and economy. And we continue to engage in these efforts. And then here's the same picture that Doug showed of me and Mary Beth in the foreground, talking to one of the volunteer coordinators for the tree planting. But right behind Mary Beth is John O'Mara. And we had a really good day on the mountain. We planted 1,000 mamani trees that day, so it was amazing. And then I will end and hand over to John with just talking about our education and workforce programming, and really providing a pipeline from curiosity to career, And this particular group is called CHAMP. It's a UC partnership with the UHIFA for mentorship of students in STEM. And we'll be rolling out a lot more of these things. If you want to have ideas about that and want to contribute, please talk to Elihia, who's in the front with the yellow shirt, about workforce development. And I'll hand over to John. Okay.
Right, I gotta take your mic.
Sorry about that.
All right. No walk. Oh, that's so tough. Aloha, everyone. One thing Rich didn't mention in that picture up on the Mauna is if and when y'all go plant trees or do anything up on Mauna Kea, check your boots. Mine completely disintegrated over the course of the day, and the one picture he doesn't show is the duct tape wrapped around the boots just so that we could keep working. So I want to talk a little bit about science. This is the Keck science meeting, so I don't have to pick my favorite science highlights because you're going to be presenting your science highlights. But I did want to mention that, 2024 was a banner year for science with Keck, right? We average about a paper a night on Keck, and 2024, I believe, was like the third or fourth highest productivity year for science at Keck, and this is a wonderful thing. I am quite positive, 100% positive, that we are actually undercounting things. These counts come from me doing a Python script that then our scientific software group has upgraded to try to find things and find papers. So I'm 100% positive this is undercounting, and want to just put out a plea. There is a very simple thing that you can put, an acknowledgement you can put in all of your papers that allows us to find your papers much easier. If we have this on our website, which is the stuff at the top. Some of the data presented in Korean. If you put that in there, I will find your paper and I will count it. Furthermore, speaking to what Rich was saying before, we have an additional acknowledgement that we really love you to include in your papers, which acknowledges Mauna Kea and the larger Hawaiian community. If you use the Keck Observatory Archive, please cite it. It's wonderful to see the citations of that go up year over year over year. And it's really great to see that. But again, we need you to say it so that we can find it, so that we can count it. And finally, a lot of you do amazing science, and that science shouldn't just be shown to your friends, your relatives, your colleagues, but ideally to the whole world. We do love sharing our science with the world. And so Megan O'Shea, who is hiding somewhere here in the building, our press officer, and that's her contact information there. If you have amazing science that you want to share, we would love to do a press release. So please work with us. We can do graphics, we can help write the release, et cetera, et cetera. So please reach out and talk to Megan. So a couple of existing instrument updates for those who know and love our existing instruments. Good news, we had a couple of issues with the MOSFire configurable split unit that has been fixed, and the full MOSFire CSU has been restored to service just in time for Bryce to get those spectra of 3i Atlas. We are continuing to work on the electronics for NERC 2. We've updated firmware a couple times sequentially. We were having some issues with writing files, particularly in stacking things. Those have largely been resolved, but if you want to know more about where we're at with that, Jim Like is in the audience, so find Jim and ask him about that. We're working and continuing to troubleshoot on the NIRES guider and detector controller. We made some progress there, but if you want to talk to Jim or any of the other folks, the SA team, to talk about that, in particular to plan future observations to make sure that they're as good as we can make them for you. And as we speak, there is a servicing mission going on with KPF. I believe the vacuum chamber is being reopened to address both a thermal issue and potentially also address some noise issues. If you want to talk about that, please find us here, or Andrew Howard is also here to talk about some of the things that we're doing on KPF. But we think we're chasing down this thermal stability issue, and we think we have a candidate solution for that. Cross your fingers, it's happening as we speak during the pier shutdown. Looking to the future, right now we are verifying the detectors in a new detector package for Demos. Unfortunately, we won't have Carlos actually climbing into Demos. We will have to get somebody else to climb into Demos to do this install. This detector package is now on a hexapod, which will allow better positioning of the unit and better compensation against flexure. We're verifying the chips right now, addressing a charge transfer efficiency question. And once we get that all packaged up and shipped, we're aiming to commission in early 2026. So if you know and love Demos, you're going to know and love it even better. The throughput will be higher, and that one chip, which is always unhappy, will no longer be unhappy because it won't be there. Looking even more forward, scales. The scales instrument is coming along extremely well over University of California, Santa Cruz. I think we have a couple of people from the scales team here, but also find Mark Cassis and pester him about scales. Find Mark Cassis and pester him about anything, but also about any of the other instruments that we're talking about here. Scales is a 1 to 5 micron imager and an integral field unit from 2.5 to 5 microns sitting behind AO. The major systems are coming together right now and being cryogenically tested, the various stages and whatnot, awaiting delivery of a slicer. And if all goes according to plan, it will deliver to the observatory this year, late this year, and come online in spring 2026. The high-spec instrument, which is basically what happens when you wish about everything in the infrared spectroscopy and let it overlap, that's what high-spec is. It's a 1 to 2.5 micron of 100,000 resolution spectrograph, so very high resolution. Behind AO, it's fiber-fed, a single-mode fiber going into high-spec. The major subsystems are currently in assembly, and it's planned to commission in 2027. So once high-spec arrives and scales arrives, and we have KPF, we will have completely revolutionized our ability to do exoplanet science. It's not just high-res, which was not designed for it, and NERC and NERC2, which was not designed to do those things. We now have custom machines able to do that, and so much more with all of those instruments. So Keck 2 is going to have a whole lot of new things coming to it in the coming years. An update on AO, and if you have more questions, Antonin Boucher is here to talk about AO if you want to find him. It has been a very high priority of me, of Antonin, of the whole AO team to both increase the reliability and the performance of our existing AO systems. And Antonin and Jim and Percy and all the teams associated there have really been going after tracking down and trying to solve the major problems with our existing AO capabilities on both Kecks. I'm happy to report that the reliability and the performance of those systems has significantly improved over the last few months. And that's really a credit to the AO team working very, very hard. We have new systems in place to track issues. You can say, well, John, isn't the number of things in one of those bars going up over time? Yes, that's because we're looking so much deeper and finding those things. But the other key thing is that a number of those other bars is going down. And those are the major problems that we're tracking and addressing. So we're really working hard on this. In FY26, under the assumption that we have the baseline funding that we want to have, we're starting a whole new AO stability project, which will further go after these things, both in software and hardware and personnel. So this is really an investment in our AO capabilities, which I know so many of you depend upon, and we really want to do as best as we can with those capabilities. I encourage you to find Antonin and have him explain it to you because I don't understand how adaptive optics works. It's magic. But we have a number of things coming online very soon and are in active development as we speak. Kappa, which turns one laser into 4 with magic on the sky, so that we now have an asterism on the sky to be able to do wavefront sensing over a larger patch of the sky. Right now, we're doing the active tests of those things and really getting close to doing the on-sky laser tomography performance verification. And this is going to be a wonderful new upgrade to Keck 1 AO to get better AO correction over a larger field of view, and will be really great to couple up with OSIRIS to do observations in the near term, but will be fantastic to work with LIGO in the long term. We heard about LIGO there. Kappa plus LIGO is going to be wonderful for AO science on Keck 1. The Haka mirror, our mirrors are what, 25 years old, approximately, our AO deformable mirrors, and they have 200-ish actuators on it, so why not go by a factor of 10 increase? So we took delivery of the Haka DM, which has about 2,800 actuators. It arrived at Keck. There's Charlotte here showing off the DM in the back. Scott Lilly, I think, is hiding like a ninja in the back corner. We're doing a lot of testing at headquarters now for about 6 months to completely understand this system, do whatever we need to do to change the operation software on that so that when it arrives at the summit, it will be as best characterized as we can before we then put it in the cold and the dry and all the other things. So a lot of precursor work to really understand this DM. The site acceptance and lab testing at HQ is underway. I believe basically we are dotting the I's and crossing the T's on the acceptance paperwork for that. It's performing very, very well. We expect to install it and starting in February of 2026. If you saw the call for proposals, there's a bit of downtime between February and May. That's to both install this and install scales if everything goes according to schedule. If you want to know how we manage that collision in timing, ask Mark, not me. And finally, good news, the infrared pyramid wavefront sensor proposal that Antonin and company put into the National Science Foundation was approved. So all of you who loved the pyramid wavefront sensor demonstrator on Keck 2 will love this even more because it'll be a facilitized pyramid, and that will be coming to Keck 2 as well. So really a lot of wonderful things happening over the next couple of years. And these are all funded projects that we know are coming to the observatory. But our Keck 2035 strategic plan looks farther out than that. It envisions what the observatory needs to be doing all the way out to beyond the renewal of the lease in 2033. So I want to talk about the next big things. And now Andrew and Jessica will be discussing this in the SSC presentation following us in a few moments. But Mark and Antonin and Jim Like and others went out into the community. Maybe a lot of you interacted with them while they were doing this and took inputs community-wide in terms of the elements that we have in the 2035 strategic plan. What are the most important scientific capabilities that we need to advance immediately and to focus our efforts on bringing to the telescope over the next 5 to 8 years? That information was refined, brought to the Stein Steering Committee, which then made a series of recommendations to the CARA board, which was then largely adopted about where we're going to proceed with the highest priority projects over the next 5 years. And those are listed here. LIGO we heard about earlier. This would be to resource the full-scale building of LIGO. LIGO is ready to go. We're ready to cut metal, make procurements, and get it on sky. LRES 2, the very wisely named successor to LRES, has successfully passed its preliminary design review. It's ready for the final design stages and ready to build. These two represent our top 2 priorities to get the full resourcing, to get these built, bring them to the telescope. Z-Shooter we heard about earlier this morning. It's undergoing the process to get to PDR, so it'll be about a year to get to PDR, and we'll understand the cost and schedule. But it is also a high priority to bring. And then the ground layer adaptive optics system on Keck 1, which would be feeding both LRES 2 and Z-Shooter and any other instruments we wanted to bring to Keck 1 and seeing limited mode. We need to bring that whole system up to system level design. We have pieces that are at different design fidelities, like the adaptive secondary mirror. We want to bring the whole system up to a level of design fidelity so that we understand the cost, the complexity, and the schedule. Ground layer adaptive optics systems touch basically every part of the telescope. So understanding it at a system level is critically important before you really want to make expensive procurements, because it means a lot of things for the observatory, not just hardware, but software, planning, scheduling, concept of operations, etc. And the final big project there was, why build 1 feed when you can build 2 for KPF, and bring light from Keck 2 into KPF as well, so that we can get as much scheduling flexibility as we can have to have KPF working for RVs. If I'm bringing all of these things, I have to turn some things off. And we had a large discussion about this at the last Keck Science meeting at Caltech. This is just an update of where we're at on those things. NIRES, because of the Keck 2 shutter issue, has a slight extension before hibernation goes in. So NIRES will be operational on Keck 2 through May of 2026 to match that AO downtime period. ESI will enter hibernation at the end of the 2026 A semester. As it was mentioned before, Z-Shooter is going to appear on Keck 1 right NAS. Right now, high-res is on Keck 1 right NAS. And so that means in a short order of time, to be able to remove all of that stuff and build all the interfaces we need for Z-Shooter, we're going to have to take high-res off of the telescope. This is very personal for me. I did my PhD on high-res, and so, but we have to make way for new capabilities. So at the conclusion of the 2026 B semester, high-res will go into hibernation. And NERC2 was mentioned earlier that NERC2 may be decommissioned. This is, I think, a little bit fuzzier because we really do need to understand the astrometric stability, throughput, and capabilities of the imager mode on scales before we fully commit to taking NERC2. And so I think, when you're asking about, when is NERC2 going away, I don't know the answer to that question. We have to do the things that we have to do to understand how stable and good the system is with scales. Finally, my last slide here is a bunch of us were here earlier this week for the 30th anniversary party for the Galactic Center Group. It was really awesome to see so many people who were a part of that group and hear stories of all the people and all the amazing science that has come out of this group led by Andrea. So it was, and this was the picture that was taken at that event, and it was just really great. I know there's a number of people in the Galactic Center Group in the audience now, and that was just a really, really fun thing. But it really, really highlights the relationship between the observatory and its scientists. The fact that you can go to the observatory, work with our team, come back, create generational knowledge that spreads through the observatory and interact with our staff is why we enable so much science and why your creativity can be maximized. And so I think it's just a wonderful example of it, and was really great to be a part of that celebration. So mahalo for inviting us, Andrea. So I think Rich has one final slide, which is.
I think I just wanted to bring us back to the. Oh, sure. I just wanted to bring us back to the strategic view, and to say that at the observatory and at our leadership level with our board and science steering committee, we're really optimistic about the future. We have to navigate some things in the near term, but we have a clear idea of what the priorities are going forward. I personally am very optimistic about building a respectful future on Mauna Kea built on trust. And so we have much to look forward to in the next decade for Keck Observatory. So just wanted to end with that and see if there are any questions maybe.